Okay, my homies, we are back at the No Business Soccer Podcast. We got no business talking about soccer, but guess what? We're doing it anyways. We're here with the full squad today. We got Danny P in the back, J-Fam, the Brainiac, and of course, my boy Hype Man Vic. Hype Man, what you sipping on today?
Well, today we're going to go over the second part of Serie A. So I am drinking a good old Italian Aperol Spritz. A lot of orange stuff, Aperol, some Prosecco, and just some straight up 1877. Or
I like how you said some orange stuff.
Yeah, there's a piece of orange in there. There's a piece of orange.
Oh, like legit,
yeah,
orange.
Legit
okay.
orange.
All right, fine, fair enough.
Well,
as it's not my favorite, but we discussed that already. I'll get around to it. And as Vic was saying, we're going to go over the second part of Serie A today. We left off right at Juventus, so we'll get started there in a second. But we got some housekeeping first. Updates on the cat. I'm sure everybody wants to know. I'm officially starting to believe that we have a cat because that thing's coming around during the morning now. In the afternoon, you can see it walking by, and it's like it thinks it lives here now. It just sits in the grass, and I'm like, oh shit! Like I think we have a cat now. Turns out not Reginald, but a Regina, and she looks pregnant. So not cool.
You're gonna have some kittens there, and also you're probably the last one to realize that you have a cat. We've all figured that out before.
Well, yeah, it's not cool. So that's going on. Other than that, I promise by the next rundown, hopefully, probably not the next one. I don't want to promise, but I'm gonna have more stuff for y'all to look at because this office, I need to orientate it right. My desk is coming in. We're gonna have some different views for you guys, so it's not gonna just be like I'm stuck in this blue box forever. I promise you. Okay. Any other housekeeping we need to discuss here? Austin FC getting knocked out. Oh, our Austin FC minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
go ahead, Vic. You go.
That was the most dominant performance that we've ever put on, where I thought we had zero chance to win, which was crazy because we beat the hell out of LAFC, but scored 0 goals. They scored 2 on us, just like that, and yeah, it wasn't even close. It didn't even feel like it was close, but we dominated every stat you could think of.
It felt like as soon as that first goal went in, and they were dominant during that first. I mean, it happened pretty early, but the early goings of the match, it felt like Austin FC were going to dominate possession at least. And then that goal goes in, and you're just like, okay, well, it felt like they just stopped playing. They were like, all right, well, we can't win it now. We're down to LAFC. So
it felt like,
but yeah, Leagues Cup, cool. We did that on to the season, I guess. I wonder how much break they get between now and the next game.
End of the month, I think. It's like August 31st or something like that. It's the next game.
No, are you serious?
It's quite a while. Maybe it's a little bit before, but it's the end of the month. Yeah.
Well, they get like a little break. And the hottest parts too. It's been freaking hot here, which is fair. It hasn't been hot all summer.
The 24th, just fact check. 24th at Nashville. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get started then. That was the Austin FC minute. We need a jingle. We're starting off with Juventus. They have a few nicknames. The one I know them by is the Old Lady, but then also they go by the Bianconeri, the White and Blacks. But it says they also go by the Zebras and the Hunchback, which is obviously in Italian, but in English it translates to that. Never heard a single person call them that. But the Old Lady is what they usually go by. They were founded November of 1897, which is 126 years ago. Their current coach is Thiago Motta, Brazilian. He joined this summer, and he's the main reason why there's a lot of questions around the team, but then positivity as well. He only stopped playing back in 2018 for PSG, but since then he's risen up the managerial ranks pretty quickly. And most recently, he was with Bologna he led them to their first Champions League berth since 64-65 season. And he declined an extension earlier in the season, and he's joined the Old Lady now. So, obviously there's some promise with that kind of coach, one of the hottest coaching prospects in the land. And now he's going to one of the biggest teams in Italy. So that's going to be fun. And just for everyone to know, Juve is actually in Turin, which is in the Piedmont region of Italy. And Vic, what does that mean in American?
We'll get there to Turin.
All right.
Turin, or I don't know how you say it, but they have a population of 848,885. Huge city, 50 square miles, not a big area. And they play at Allianz Stadium, or for the Americans, Alliance Stadium. with a capacity of 41,507. And Adam, what that means in English, what that means in American, the closest U.S. city that we have to population is Charlotte, North Carolina, big populous city, and the closest U.S. city size that we have is Anaheim, California, which is a little bit spread out as well. And the closest pro stadium that we have here in America, this one's going to be a layup. It is another pop quiz for our MLB correspondent. Yes. Let's is go. Wrigley Field.
Oh, the Cubs. Everybody knows that.
Easy. That's easy. The Chicago Cubs MLB team. The closest non-pro stadium.
I have been there. Just want to say. It's fun.
I do want to go to that one. I wouldn't mind going to that one with you. Have a hot dog. All right, let's do it. The closest non-pro stadium we have, might have said this before, but Cajun Field, home of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, and that is a college football team.
The Raging Cajuns. Yeah. Is that? I was wondering who was talking to you.
It's my
someone hidden in the closet.
It's dinner time for my dogs. That's what's going on right now. But I already fed him.
All right.
Don't worry.
Okay, I was going to say don't keep him. Yeah,
he's fed.
Cruelty to animals. Okay. So moving on. Juventus last season, they finished third qualifying for the Champions League this coming season. They were joint seventh with Bologna in with 54 goals for, and they were second in goals against, only letting in 31 across the Serie A season. Best ever finish. Well, this is the most successful club in Serie A. They have won it 36 times, most recently in the 2019-2020 season, and they won 9 consecutive Scudettos from 2011-12 to 2019-2020. So, they've dominated this league, kind of like Bayern. Well, we'll talk about them another day, but kind of like Bayern over in the Bundesliga. And in the European competition, obviously, if you're winning a lot, you're always in the Champions League. So they were in the Champions League last in 22-23 season, and they were third in their group and got to the semis of the Europa League that season and lost to Sevilla. They've actually won the Champions League twice, in 84-85 and 95-96, which is kind of weird thinking about how many times they get there and they just haven't won it that much. Well, you can't win it too many times whenever Real Madrid's pretty much winning it every time.
Yeah.
Some key players from last season. We have Dusan Vlahovic, 24-year-old center forward from Serbia, scored 16 goals for them last season. Their assist leader is none other than Weston McKennie, the American central midfielder, 25 years old. He had 9 assists for them in Serie A last season. And the best young talent to watch for, we talked about him in the Euro breakdown. He is Kenan Yildiz. Kenan? I don't want to say Kenan. It doesn't sound right. Yildiz. A 19-year-old striker, a Turkish striker, 2 goals and 1 assist in Serie A. I know that doesn't sound very appetizing, but he didn't get much time on the pitch early in the season, and he really hit the ground running after the new year. So really after the Euros, he gets a good showing there. I think that he's going to get more minutes this season, and I'm excited to see how he does because Juve is going to need him. And some interesting facts about Juve. They originally wore pink shirts, which is pretty crazy because I remember a few seasons ago their away kit was pink. And I had no idea that was their original color. It's kind of like a throwback. But they adopted their current black and white vertical stripe uniforms in 1903. So been wearing that for a while. They're the most successful club in Italian football history with 36 titles like we talked about. But to go along with those 36 titles, they have 14 Coppa Italias, 9 Super Coppa Italiana titles, which you have the regular cup and the Super Cup, I guess. And they've also won 2 European Cups, 3 UEFA Cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and an Intercontinental Cup. So very successful team. But in 05-06, they were involved in a refereeing fraud scandal. So, maybe that's why they won so much. No, I'm not going to say that. But they were actually demoted to Serie B. We don't know how to say B in Italian yet. And having 2 championship titles voided. So, that kind of sucks. And it does taint. Is that the right word for it? Taint their legacy?
Yeah,
There's too many meetings. There's too many meetings for this.
Yeah,
because it does mean something else. Anyways, Vic, tell us those odds. As he sips his drink. My bad.
Yeah, the odds, they have the second best odds to win Serie A with a plus 370. That's good news for my boy Christian, my Italian friend Christian, because he's a Juventus fan. So,
he is. Okay. Yeah. You don't like him though, right? Because you kept going against it. Yeah.
I was actually talking shit to him earlier because the Olympics are on. And we were talking shit. So he won't like this either. So I'm just,
Well, the good thing about Juve going into this season is that they got Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. They paid a hefty price for him, but they also got Thuram from Nice. And so they're kind of loading up. And if you look at who they lost, they did lose a few players, but no one that was one of their most outstanding players. So adding in those pieces while not losing a lot, obviously, if you finish I said they were third last season. So obviously they're going to be able to hopefully get a better finish. And then obviously they're going to be trying to win the league here. So word on the street for them, their previous coach, Allegri, this is pretty crazy. He was sent off in the Coppa Italia final last season. Following the game, he was reported to have angrily attacked the referees, threatened a journalist, and then waved off the sporting director during the post-match celebrations once they won it. And he was sacked 2 days later. So that's why they have a new coach right now. That's crazy. I did not know that happened.
he was trying to get fired. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to. He was like, "Screw it! I've won so much already." And normally this would be a cause for concern. But his replacement, like we talked about earlier, Thiago Motta, he's very successful as far as bringing a small club in Bologna up to the success that they had last season. Obviously, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen at this level, but if he's able to bring in these new pieces and Luis and Thuram, then should be solidifying that midfield. They were already good last season. I just don't see them taking a step back, and I think that they are the genuine challenger for Inter Milan in this next season for the Scudetto. And the Scudetto is what they call the Italian title. I should have looked that up. I don't know why it's called that, but everybody just calls it that. And and I have to break the fourth wall here. We figured out our data issue. So now Danny P in the back, he'll be able to show you the new kits, the coach, the stadiums, and all that. So yeah, we figured it out. Anyway, okay.
Lucky him.
Yes,
to do all that now.
He loves it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on now to our boys over at Lazio. Go ahead and show the crest, bro.
Right here, baby. Got it right off the street, right in front of the stadium.
Oh, that's right, because I paid more money for one that looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lazio, they go by the Biancelesti, the white and sky blues. They also go by the Eagles, which I'm sure in Italian sounds a lot cooler. They were founded January 1900, 124 years ago. And this year they're going to be coached by Marco Baroni. After Mauricio Sarri resigned mid-March before the season was over, Lazio hired Igor Tudor as an interim manager, and he left at the end of the season, and Baroni was hired full-time this past summer. So, again, I think I should have done a count, but I'm pretty sure we've done 12 teams now, and this is like the 8th new manager for a team, so it's crazy. And Lazio is in Rome, and Vic, tell us more about that.
Yep, we went over Rome, but for this episode, we'll go over it again. Rome has a population of 2,761,632 exactly, with a square mileage of 496. So giant city. We've been there. It's absolutely insane. They play at Stadio Olimpico with a capacity of 70,634. And what this means in American is the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Chicago, Illinois. Very dense city, very dangerous city. And the closest U.S. city that we have as far as size is San Antonio, Texas. So all the danger of Chicago going to all the beauty of San Antonio. Well, the closest pro stadium that we have here in America is M&T Bank Stadium, home of the Baltimore Football Ravens. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Husky Stadium, home of the College Washington Huskies football team.
I remember. Yes, because we don't like them right now.
No.
Well, yeah, what I will say is that the pictures that we're showing from the stadiums are kind of some images that we found specifically for Lazio in Stadio Olimpico. There are pictures that we took whenever we went to the stadium. Very cool place. And when you hear, European clubs, they have like different sports. So it's not just Lazio, the football team that we all know, but it's also like tennis and swimming and all these kinds of other sports. I don't know specifically those, but when we were walking, I'm pretty sure our Uber driver or cab driver dropped us off at the wrong end. And so we had to walk through the whole complex. And yeah, we were passing all these like tennis courts and all these really cool complex or these cool buildings. I don't even know what to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very cool place. You should go whenever you're in Rome next time. Roma plays there too, which have we gone? Yeah, we'll be talking about them a little bit later. But yeah, cool place. Okay, moving on. So last season they finished 7th, qualifying for the Europa League, and they had the 9th ranked goals for and the 5th goals against. Best ever finish. Lazio have been the champions twice in 1974 and in 2000. In the European competitions, they were in the last season's Champions League, and the best ever finish that they've had in Europe, well, they won the 98-99 UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, one of my favorite cups, and the 1999 UEFA Super Cup. Last season, some of their top players, or their top scorer was Ciro Immobile, 34-year-old Italian center forward with 7 goals in Serie A. The assist leader was Luis Alberto, 31-year-old central midfielder, Spanish midfielder, had 8 assists in Serie A last season. The young talent you want to watch for is Loam Chuana. He's a 20-year-old French right winger. He had 4 goals and 4 assists last season, and he recently joined from relegated Salernitana, and that pretty much is what happens when a team gets relegated. All the people that are staying in, they kind of pick apart the best parts of that team. Some interesting facts about Lazio. In 1927, Lazio was the only major Roman club to oppose fascist regime's attempt to merge all the city's teams in Rome. And Giorgio Vaccaro, a Lazio fan and general in the fascist regime, defended the club's right to keep its identity. That's pretty crazy. In 2001, Lazio hosted the Shalom Cup, an unlikely soccer tournament that featured Jewish players. That's pretty cool. Also, one that we were trying to figure out when we were going is like, what's the SS about? So SS Lazio is what their full name is, and it stands for Società Sportiva, was essentially the sporting society. It's named because they aren't just a football team. They also have other clubs like we talked about earlier, but it's not for fascism or to support the Nazis. Like we kind of were like, what's going on here? Okay. And I know they're one of the top teams, but how are they looking this season?
Yeah, they had the 7th best odds to win Serie A with a plus 5,000. Not terrible, not overwhelmingly good either, but kind of middle of the pack of that top half. So
yeah, and if you have a 7th best odds, it's probably not a good thing whenever you lose your top scorer and your assist leader from last season. So odds makers have them competing with Fiorentina and their bitter rivals Roma for finishing up in those Europa League spots. But that seems about right with the squad that they have. Like I was saying, they lost Luis Alberto and Ciro Immobile. So even though they were kind of older players, they still had a huge role in the team last season. So if they end up getting good replacements, I know they brought over Guendouzi for on permanent, right? He was on loan last time, and then Chuana. But I really don't see. I don't want to say I don't see it. I don't see that anyone coming in is going to replace those goals and those assists. And so if they don't have that already on the squad, it might be a long season. Hopefully not. I'm going for my boys, but yeah, that's what I've read about them is like they're not going to be better than what they were because it's going to be hard to replace that impact from those 2 players. So either way, let's go Lazio. And now we're moving on to one of the coolest names in Europe, Lecce. Or, as we call them, Milk. They go by the Yellow and Reds, the Wolves, Lupi, and they're founded in March 1908. They're coached this season by Luca Gatti. He's an Italian, obviously. Gatti. He joined earlier this spring, and he took over for Mr. Headbutt D'Aversa whenever that whole thing happened. We talked about it last time. Check it out. And Leche, or milk, is in, I don't know if that's milk in Italian. I doubt that it is. It's just milk in Spanish. People are going to think I'm an idiot for saying that. But, they're the milkmen. That's what we're calling them around here. But Leche is in the heel of the boot, and it's in Puglia. And tell us more about that thing.
Yeah, Lecce has a population of 95,253 and all in a 92 square mile area. It's a pretty big compared to these other towns that we've been talking about, cities that we've been talking about. They're kind of spread out, which is pretty cool, kind of like us. They play in Stadio Ettore Giardiniero. That's pretty close. Via del Mare. So I'm pretty close. I want to say that was nailed it. So with a
I think so.
capacity of 31,533. So what does that mean in American? Well, I'll tell you, the closest U.S. city population that we have, U.S. city by population, is Goodyear, Arizona. Not one of the bigger Arizona names. It's kind of a small town, but if you haven't heard about it, it's probably because there's only 95,000 people in there. The closest U.S. city size that we have is Waco, Texas. There's a lot of Texas towns on this U.S. size. Again, not intentional. It just happens to be like that, and it makes me know.
Oh, it's better. Intentional. It's intentional.
The closest pro stadium that we have in America that we have in America is Geodis Park, home of Nashville FC. And the closest non-pro stadium we have is Troost Field, home of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So we've seen them
great
play.
Name.
Pretty Demon Deacons, yeah. I had to use that one.
Great name.
Yeah.
Last season, Lecce finished 14th. They were joint 18th with the relegated Salernitana for the goals for category, and goals against they were 15th with Empoli. So the fact that they finished 14th with the 18th ranked goals for and the 15th goals against, it seems like they kind of got lucky, but we'll talk about that in a second. Best ever finish in Serie A was 9th place in the 88-89 season. They're typically a lower table team that yo-yos back and forth from the second to the first division. And it doesn't look like they have any European Cup history, so I couldn't find it. If you're a Lecce fan, let us know. Obviously, you know your team better than we do.
Yeah.
Some key players for them last season. They have Nikolo Krostovic, 24-year-old center forward from Montenegro, scored 7 goals in Serie A last season. Then we have the assist leader as Lemek Banda, and that's 23-year-old left winger from Zambia. He's had 4 assists in Serie A. And the best young talent. Hey, maybe,
Whoa.
I don't know. But the best young talent is Patrick Dorgu. He's a 19-year-old left back from Danish left back. Sorry,
yeah.
Denmark. Why did I put Danish? Yes, Denmark. I put it backwards and my mind just stopped. But yeah, he's from Denmark, a left back. And what I read about him, blurb here says he's physically gifted left back that loves to get forward and has a blend of these qualities that's making him one of the biggest, making him a grab for one of the biggest clubs around Europe that are snooping around. So essentially what they're saying is that he might be leaving soon if he keeps up the good work. And the thing I like about all the young left backs, well, the backs in general, is they all love to get forward, usually have some kind of attacking prowess. So going to be fun to watch how he does with Lecce this season, the milkman. And they'll probably be defending a lot because, Vic knows how that works when you have a bad defense in front of you. So,
yeah, for sure. I was
you didn't have to.
I was the keeper for our. We had a soccer league, and I was the keeper, and it was hell. It was 3-on-1 every single time coming at me.
Okay, well, we didn't need all the details. Yeah. Just conversation. Some interesting facts about Lecce. The symbol of Lecce is a female wolf under a holm oak tree, which is typical to Apulia. Apulia is also the symbol of the city of milk, Lecce. And let's bring in JFam for a sec. JFam, Brainiac, did you go to Puglia? Is that right, or did I have that wrong?
Wrong.
Oh,
all right.
Dang it. All right.
Thank you, JFam.
You went there. You must have been on the other side of the boot. Okay, sorry. And stop laughing like that, Victor.
Sorry.
Puglia is the Florence of the South. Lecce is. It's known for its Baroque architecture, which includes Santa Croce, Piazza Duomo, and the Sant'Orzano, Oranzo. I don't know, but it looks beautiful. Check it out. If you've never seen the pictures of Lecce, it looks really pretty. But that doesn't mean that their odds are. So what do they look like, Vic?
Well, actually, they have the 6th best odds to be relegated, though, at plus 250.
I was going to say, did I put that wrong?
No, they did. At a plus 250 to be relegated, or at worst, I don't know how exactly you want to say it, though. And with odds to be relegated, you're not going to get any odds to win Serie A. So that's all we got there.
Yeah, most of the clubs that are pretty low down, it's like, we'll just tell you how good their odds are to be relegated. And so word on the street for Lecce, the Milkmen, is that the squad struggled last season And even though they finished 14th, which was technically out of the relegation battle, they really, I don't know how it happened. I need to dive deeper into the actual games because, like I was saying earlier, I don't know how you're tied for 18th in goals scored and 15th in defense in goals allowed, but you're still 14th. It just doesn't make sense. So, pardon me. I don't see that if they're going to be any better. And if they can't better the stats they already had last season, which looking at some of their rivals, they did bring in a couple of people, but nothing that I can really note and say there's going to be a definite improvement from last season. I really don't see them making it too far, but I hope that they do, because if you look at their kits that Danny P is going to throw up on the screen somewhere, they're awesome. Their colors are really cool, and their stadium is like the same colors as their jersey. So yeah, really cool. And I hope they stay up. I'm rooting for you, Milkman. Anything else we need to talk about?
Nah, we up. We up.
We up.
I don't know. I hear people say that. Does that sound cool?
Never heard people say that. No, didn't sound cool. Okay. All right. Moving on to Monza. Monza, they go by the White and Reds or the Boys. I don't know how to say that in Italian, but it's like, how would you say it, Vic? Actually, yeah, you tell me.
Bagay.
Yeah, I think that's E.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Boys in English, which is pretty cool. I mean, you're known as the Boys. They were founded September 1912, 111 years ago. They are going to be coached this season by Alessandro Nesta, Italian. He joined the club earlier this summer, took the Monza job after Raffaele Palladino left for Fiorentina. Man, I sounded Italian right there. That was nice, right?
That was pretty good.
And Monza is in Lombardy, in the city of Monza. And Vic, tell us more about that.
Yeah, Monza has a population of 122,099 in a 12.75 square mile area. That's tiny. They play in the Stadio Brianteo. I think that's how you say it, Briantero, with a capacity of only 16,917. So kind of tiny there. So what does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city we have as far as population is Lakeland, Florida. Not very well known, but still pretty good size as far as the little towns in Florida go. The closest U.S. city size that we have is Downey, California. If you haven't heard about it, it's because it's only 12 square mile area. The closest U.S. pro stadium that we have is the closest one is PayPal Park, where the San Jose Earthquakes play, and I think that's like I don't want to say like 22, but that's just the closest thing I could find. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex. It's an all-purpose facility in Hawaii, so it's not even just like for football. Like it's for like track and field and like everything. Yeah, baseball, rugby, field hockey, or lacrosse, and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's what it means in American.
Well, Monza finished 12th last season. They had the 14th. They were ranked 14th in goals for, and they were joint 12th with Hellas Verona last season in goals against. And their best ever finish in Serie A. Well, pardon me. Their best ever finish. They've actually only had 2 seasons in Serie A, and the best so far was 11th. So hopefully they can do better this time. And obviously, if they've never finished higher than 11th, they've never been in Europe. And if they have, let me know. You know your team better than I do. Some key players for them last season. We have Andrea Calpani, who is actually the top scorer and assist leader. And he's 25-year-old Italian attacking midfield. He had 8 goals for and 5 assists in Serie A. And their best young talent to watch for is Warren Bondo. He's a French central midfielder, 20 years old. He had 1 goal and 1 assist. And he only really got to play after the calendar turned to 2024 last season. So obviously with his stats sitting at 1 goal, 1 assist, we're looking to get a lot more time, and hopefully those stats go up, especially if there's going to be some outgoing people this next season. Some interesting facts about Monza. Monza is the most famously known because it's the home of one of the original F1 tracks known as the Temple of Speed, which is pretty cool. If you're an F1 fan at all, you know Monza. You don't necessarily know that they have a football club, but that's what we're here talking about. And Monza sitting in last place with only 1 point in 6 games in their Serie A debut season in 22-23. They replaced their coach with the under-19s head coach Raffaele Palladino, and he guided them to their first historic win on September 18th in an upset of 1-0 against the Giants Juventus at home. And Monza's first ever recorded win was actually against Juventus in 1912, so that's pretty cool. And that's all I could find on Monza. There's the F1 track there. Tell us the odds.
Yeah, well, the odds, the sports books are right. They have them tying their best finish they have the 11th best odds of winning Serie A with a plus 25,000. Not good odds, but some of the best that they've had. So,
yeah, about a mid-table finish is how they're feeling for Monza. They finished lower mid-table in goals for and goals against, and it obviously reflects whenever you're 12th. So odds having them finishing in that range again, and I kind of agree. I think that they have a good enough squad. I think it's generally believed they have a good enough squad to stay out of the relegation battle, but not really enough to get past mid-table and challenge for any of the European spots. So another thing that's to note is I talked about how Andrea Calpani was their leading scorer and their assist leader. Well, he is in Fiorentina this coming season. So obviously that's going to be a hole that they're going to have to fill. And they also lost their goalkeeper who played pretty much every game for them last season, Michel De Gregorio. He's off to Juventus next season. So yeah, obviously a lot of pieces that they need to replace. And they do have some players they've brought in. Mostly Omari Forson from Manchester United. He came over on a free. And then they also have, I'm just going to call him Georgios from, they brought him over from Sassuolo last season. So yeah, I mean, they're bringing in people, but I don't really see them getting too much further up that table. I do expect them to stay in the league though. Okay, moving on. We have Napoli, which I have a sweet spot for Napoli. Also, if you see their new logo, which you will see it, looks really cool. I like it way better than the last one. Looks sharp. They go by the Blues, and they also go by the Little Donkeys. We'll talk about why here in a bit. They're founded in August 1926, 97 years ago. And this season, they're going to be coached by Antonio Conte, Italian. He joined this summer, and he's one of the top managers in the world. He's been at Chelsea, Inter, Juve, Spurs, and he coached the Italian national team. He's joining Napoli after a year off from all of the Spurs chaos that went down a few years ago. Napoli is in Naples, and that is the Campania region of Italy. And Vic's going to tell us more about that.
Yeah, Naples is a pretty big area. They have 914,758 population there in a 45.28 square mile area. So pretty dense and compact there. They play at Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. Sounds familiar, probably, with a capacity of 54,726. So what does this mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city that we have as far as population is Columbus, Ohio, but that is in a 220 square mile area. So what, five times the size? And the closest U.S. city size we have, again, not intentional, New Braunfels, Texas. You ever been there? New Braunfels. Cool. I'm saying it like a newbie. New Braunfels, Texas. This one is another absolute layup for our MLB correspondent. Is Snooze over there? The closest pro stadium that we have is Dodger Stadium. Not even gonna quiz you on it because it's in there. And the closest non-pro stadium we have. This is a mouthful. Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field, the home of the Georgia Tech football Yellow Jackets.
Okay. Didn't know that that's what their stadium was called. Yeah, Dodger Stadium is pretty easy. I would have got that one pretty good. Last season, Napoli, they finished 10th with the 6th ranked goals for and the 10th ranked goals against. They've won the Serie A 3 times. The latest was in the 22-23 season, and they are a perennial top 10 team. So even though they're not winning it often, they're usually right up there at the top. In European competitions, they were in last season's Champions League, and they were knocked out in the round of 16 by Barcelona. But the best they've ever done, they won the UEFA Cup, the Europa League in 88-89. Top scorer for last season for Napoli was Victor Osimhen, 25-year-old center forward from Nigeria. He scored 15 goals last season. And their assist leader was Matteo Politano, 30-year-old right winger from Italy, with 7 assists. The best young talent to watch for, we all know him, Javicia Kvaratskhelia Kvaradona, the 23-year-old left winger, had 11 goals and 8 assists in Serie A last season. And after a great showing with Georgia in the Euros, he was already going to be one of their top players. But now he's really ready to step it up. He had a kind of a down season last year, to his standards anyway. But a word on the street was that whenever Conte took the job, they were pretty much like getting ready to sell Osimhen and Javicia Kvaratskhelia. And he was like, no, if I'm coming here, like they're staying. And they did. So he likes to do that counterattacking, and obviously Georgia did too. So anyway, I'm just really excited to see this Napoli team. Some interesting facts about them. One of the nicknames for Napoli is Cucci. Cucci? But it's essentially means the donkeys. And in the Neapolitan language, Napoli were given that name after a particularly poor performance during the 26-27 season. And it was kind of meant to be derogatory because the Neapolitan symbol is a rampant black horse. And the club adopted that kind of like a FU. So now they're called the Donkeys. It's pretty cool. All right, Vic, tell us some of them odds.
Well, odds to win Serie A, they have the 4th best odds at a plus 750. And just to finish in top 4, they are one of the favorites to finish top 4. Don't have the exact numbers, but one of the favorites to the top 4. And obviously, they've always been a pretty big powerhouse there. And we'll see how they do this season.
Yeah, and when you look at some of the arrivals and departures, first off, another one of Victor's alter egos, Italian alter egos, is they brought in Alessandro Buongiorno from Torino. And so, yeah, I just had to throw that out there because I know that's just Victor's like, who are you? He's on a spy mission in Italy.
Buongiorno. That's why.
Buongiorno. Yes. Anyway, last year's 10th place finish, pretty big disappointment for Napoli standards. And Antonio Conte signing, though, is kind of like shaking up Serie A. Like everybody, we don't really know what to expect with him coming in because essentially he's won just about everywhere he's gone. He's won a trophy except for one place. We don't need to talk about that. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be they're fighting for those Champions League spots, or at least that's what the word on the street is, that they'll be right back up there. And they had the 10th ranked defense, which is kind of why they slid down the table. And Conte is going to be shoring that up big time, especially bringing in the center back, Alessandro Buongiorno, or Victor's alter ego if he was to be Italian. Okay, moving on. Parma. Parma, their nicknames go, they have the Crusaders, the Yellow and Blues, or the Dutchymen. Pretty cool. They were founded July 1913, 110 years ago. This season, they're going to be coached by Fabio Peccia, Italian. He's been their coach since June of 2022. Parma is in Parma, the city, and that's in Emilia Romagna. And Vic, tell us more.
Yeah, so again, they are in Parma. I have a population of 198, 292. Again, so it's just the city. There's a little bit more, well, a lot of bit more in just like the whole metropolitan area. The square mileage that they have is 100, right on the dot, and they play at Stadio Ennio Tardini, which is pretty close. I think I did that pretty well. With a capacity of 27,906. So what does this mean in America? The closest U.S. city we have as far as population is Knoxville, Tennessee. And the closest U.S. city size is close enough. It's Knoxville, Tennessee. This place is basically Knoxville, Tennessee. And the closest pro stadium that we have in America is St. Louis City's City Park, home of St. Louis City SC. And the closest non-pro stadium that we have is Weingart Stadium of the California Community College Athletic Association. So not even like a NCAA thing. It's a community college stadium that they have there. That's crazy.
Hey, don't hate on community college.
Yeah. We don't have anything like that. 27,000 people.
Definitely don't. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think ACC has anything.
No.
So last season they're getting into the Serie A. They got promoted into Serie A this season by winning the second division last season. And their best ever finish in the Serie A, they actually finished second in the 96-97 season. But their most recent best finish was sixth in the 2013-2014 season. In Europe, last time they were in Europe was 06-07 Europa League, and the best ever finish, they actually won the Europa League back in 95-99. Top scorer last season was Dennis Mann, the man, a 25-year-old right winger from Romania with 11 goals last season in the second division. Until I learn how to say B in Italian, I'm not going to say it. B? I'm sure. Their assist leader and the best young talent to watch for next season is Anjuan Boni, 20-year-old center forward from France. He had 10 assists and 5 goals in Serie in the second division last season. And what I read about this guy is a 6'2 center forward, powerful, great at playing a target man up top, and is seen by his 10 assists last season. He hit a bit of a lull from December to March, but either side of that, he was great. And this is going to be a great test for him in the Serie A this coming season. Some interesting facts about Parma. They actually went bankrupt. In 2015, they went bankrupt and attempted to raise money by selling their European and domestic trophies from the 1990s. That sucks. That's the only interesting fact I could find other than the fact that their kits are awesome. They have one of the most iconic ones. You'll see them up here somewhere. They're really, really cool, especially the cross on their home kits. Okay. Let's move on, Vic. What are the odds?
So the odds actually have them the fifth best odds in being relegated again. Right in front of the Lecce Milkman, as you say. They have a plus 175 odds to be relegated. And again, if we're giving you odds to be relegated, we're not going to give you odds to win Serie A. So just save your money. Put it back in your pocket.
Yeah, I don't think that I personally think they're going to stay up, but I think they're still trying to find their way back to relevance and being in the Serie A season over season. They had another bankruptcy, or we talked about it earlier. They had a bankruptcy in 2015, and so I think this is their first time. Yeah, this is their first time back in the Italian top flight in 3 years. So the odds have them finishing 15th, and it feels about right. I think they aren't bad enough to where they'll get relegated, in my opinion, but I don't think they're good enough to get too much past that. Okay, let's move on. We got Roma next. And Roma is also known as the Giallorossi, the yellow and reds. That's actually the only nickname I know them by. But there are a few others. The She-Wolf, the Magic One, Little Cubs. Never heard anybody call it that. They were founded in June of 1927, 97 years ago. And this season, they're going to be coached by Daniele De Rossi, which is pretty freaking cool. He made 616 appearances for Roma during his playing career. He's a bona fide Roma legend, and he took over the job from when Mourinho was sacked last season. He got them all the way to the Europa League semifinals before being knocked out by Leverkusen in the semis, and he signed an extension this summer. They'll see him staying through the 2027 season. So that's pretty cool. I like it whenever you see these legends come through and they become the coaches. Plus, like when you see him out there, he's like sleeved up. He looks like a player, so he doesn't look like he's a manager. And Roma is obviously in Rome. And Vic, I don't know if we need to go through the whole thing again, but if you got something new to tell us.
Yeah, I'll just tell you that actually there's nothing new, honestly. It's in Rome.
Okay.
2.7 million people, 407 square mile. We already did that. Chicago, Illinois, San Antonio. Yeah,
and we've been to the stadium too because they share a stadium with Lazio.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, then we'll just move right along. Last season, they finished sixth. I promise you, we'll give you more time to talk on the next team.
Yeah, please.
They finished sixth last season, qualifying for the Europa League this season. They had the fourth ranked goals for, and they were joint eighth in goals against with Fiorentina. Best ever finish. They've actually won the Serie A 3 times, which the most recent being in the 2001 season, which is just crazy to me because I've always seen Roma as one of the biggest clubs out there. And the last time they won the league was 2001. So anyway, didn't see that. Last time they were in Europe was, they haven't been in the Champions League since 18-19 season, the 2018-2019 season, just to be clear. They were in last season's Europa League, losing to Leverkusen And like we talked about earlier, they lost to this Leverkusen in the semis. They won the inaugural Europa Conference League, though, in 21-22. So that's the best they've done in Europe recently. Some of the key players last season, Daniel's favorite striker, Romelu Lukaku, and Paula Dybala, they had 13 goals each in Serie A, so they were tied for their top scorer last season. And then Paulo Dybala is actually their assist leader last season with 9 assists. Best young talent to watch for is Tommaso Baldanzi. He's an 21-year-old Italian attacking midfielder. He only had 2 goals in Serie A last season, but kind of like most of the youngins at this high of a level, he didn't have a lot of playing time last season. And so, I think that after the injuries that he had, and then obviously going into this next season, they're going to want to start to bring him along a little bit. So hopefully we get to see more of Baldanzi this season. Interesting facts about them. I think I'm going to skip to my favorite fact here because it's a little bit of a long one. It's a little bit of a story, but it's awesome. So according to legend, ancient Rome was founded by 2 brothers, Romulus and Remus. When they were babies, King Numitor, their grandfather, was overthrown by his brother Amulius. Anyway, the usurper is what he's called. And he ordered the twins to be cast into the Tiber River. They were rescued by a she-wolf that cared for them until a herdsman, Faustulus, found and raised them. And now, if you ever look at Roma's badge, which you will because Daniel put it up here, it depicts the she-wolf suckling the mythical twin brothers, the twin founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. I always wondered why they had to be like teats and why they were like on their badge, but now that's something to do with Rome. So anyway, all right, Vic, tell us the odds.
I haven't even actually looked at that badge till just now. Didn't realize that.
Why is that necessary?
Yeah,
but yeah,
not necessary.
It's necessary.
Anyway, odds. To win the Serie A, they have a plus 2,500. That's the 6th best finishing odds again to win. And to finish in the top 4, they only have the 3rd best odds behind Napoli and Atalanta, who are likely to finish inside the top 4. And good odds, I would say. They're a big powerhouse, so let's see what happens.
Word on the street for Roma is that they were all right in the goal scoring department last season, obviously ranking 4th. But where they need to improve is that if they're going to challenge for 4th place and beyond, is their 8th ranked defense. Their signings of left backs Angelino and Dahl, and then also their central midfielder Enzo Lefi and goalkeeper Matt Ryan. All these exotic names, and you just have Matty Ice over there. They were brought in this summer to do just that, help them shore up that defense. And I think that even, I don't know, they'll be fighting Lazio for that top 4 spot. But even if they don't get in that top 4, just like last season, I think that Serie A will probably have a 5th spot that gets you into the Champions League. So they might just be fighting Lazio for 5th to get into that. Or sorry, I'm saying Lazio. Atalanta or ATL, Hotlanta, for that 5th spot to get into the Champions League this season if Bologna slides, which we all think they will. Most of us. I don't want to say all. Okay, moving on to Torino FC. Torino, known as the Bull or the Old Maroon Heart. Oh, they were founded December 1906, 117 years ago. This season, they're going to be coached by Paolo Vanoli. He, Italian coach, joined this summer, and he's got a fairly young coaching career, but got Venezia promoted last season, and they're going to be playing in Serie A against Torino this season. So you never like to see that. Like, stay with your team. But he only signed a contract with them through 2024 and decided not to renew once Venezia got promoted. So then he moved on to Torino. And Torino is in Turin, just like Juve, which is in Piedmont region of Italy. And Vic, do you want to go over a little bit more?
Yeah, the Turin regional area is huge, but the city of Turin itself has a population of 848,885 with a 50 square mile area. So again, pretty dense there. They play in Stadio Olimpio Grande Torino and with a capacity of 27,958. So what does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city population that we have is Charlotte, North Carolina, and the closest U.S. city as far as size that we have is Anaheim, California. So both pretty well-known names there, and sounds pretty good. Also, it looks like the the closest pro stadium that we have is the LA Galaxy's Dignity Sports Park, and the closest non-pro stadium we have is the Princeton Stadium, Princeton Football Tigers.
The smart Tigers.
Yeah, the smart ones.
They went to Princeton. Last season, Torino finished ninth. They had the 17th ranked goals for, so obviously not a very high scoring team, but they also they were the fourth in goals against. So obviously you can take a look at those and know that they were a very defensive team. Best ever finish they had in Serie A. They've won the Serie A title 7 times, most recently in 75, 76. They're more of a mid-table team these days, other than the title challenging team they were back in the 70s. In Europe, last time they were in Europe was the 14-15 Europa League season. Best ever finish was they actually won the UEFA Cup Europa League now in 91-92, and they lost to Ajax. So they were in the final and they lost to Ajax, I should say. The key players for them last season, they had Duvan Zapata, 33-year-old central forward from Colombia, 13 goals in Serie A, and the assist leader was Raul Bellanova. He's a 24-year-old Italian right back, had 7 assists in Serie A last season. Best young talent to watch for is Samuel Ricci, 22-year-old defensive midfielder. He had 1 goal and 4 assists in Serie A last season, and he is one of the hottest midfielding prospects in European soccer, in the world. And he's been on big club radars since he was 18, and he's only gotten better. So I don't know how long he's going to stay in Torino, but we shall see. And I have one interesting fact for you. The Superga air disaster, I think that's right, occurred in May 1949 when an airplane carrying the entire Torino football team, popularly known as Gran Torino after winning 5 consecutive Serie A titles, crashed into a retaining wall, killing all 31 people aboard. Sad story, but it was the most interesting story I could find. So sorry to bring the mood down. Hopefully their odds make us happier. Look at that transition.
Not too much. They're right in the middle of the pack. They have the 10th best odds to win Serie A with a plus 20,000. So kind of
a mid-table.
Yeah, mid-table.
Okay. And like I was saying earlier, they finished 9th in the Serie A last season, thanks to their 4th ranked goals against. So obviously a very defensive team. But if they don't get more goals in, they might be out of Serie A. Ooh, you see what I did that? They're 17th ranked goals for, and they have brought in a few different pieces. They brought in from Hotlanta, they brought in Duvan Zapata, and hopefully as a center forward, he can kind of bring up some of those that he can bring in some more goals and get them up the ranking in goals for, is what I was trying to say in English. But I think the expectations, the general word on the street is that they're going to finish around mid-table. But I'm kind of skeptical that they're going to be able to make that much of an improvement. And I think the teams around them have gotten a little bit better. So I think they might be fighting that relegation battle. But we'll see. Maybe not that far down, but I don't think they're going to be close to that 9th ranks. Okay, moving on. We have Udinese. Get out of here.
You get out of here.
Sorry, I'm like trying to click it and there's pop-ups, like my email's going off, so it just keeps, I clear one, another pops up. Anyway, okay, Udinese, they go by the Little Zebras, and the founding date was November 1896, 127 years ago. This season, they're going to be coached by Kosta Ranjic. He's the Austrian. He was signed on earlier this summer, and he has coached in Poland and Germany, but this will be his first time coaching in Italy. So we'll see how that goes. Udinese is in Udine, the province of Udine, and that is in the Friuli Venezia Giulia region of Italy. See how I did that? Tell us more about that, Vic.
Yeah, Udine has a population 97,761 and in a 22 square mile area. Tiny little city, a lot of people. They play in Stadio Friuli with a capacity of 25,144. So a quarter of that population could fit in their stadium. What does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city population, again, not intentional, is Georgetown, Texas, believe it or not. And the closest U.S. city size is Sunnyvale, California. And again, if you haven't heard of Sunnyvale, it's because it's tiny. The closest pro stadium that we have here in America is Providence Park, home of the Portland Timbers. And the closest non-pro stadium is Maverick Stadium, the Utah State Aggies. And since if you happen to be listening overseas and you're wondering what an Aggie is, don't worry, we don't know either. Don't worry about it.
I was going to be impressed if you knew, because I don't know.
No, nobody
we
knows.
call Aggies or a lot of things here.
Yeah. Nobody knows. So
nobody knows. It's just a thing. Yeah. Last season, Udinese finished 15th with the 16th ranked goals for and the 14th goals against. Best ever finish in Serie A. They've actually never won the Serie A title, but historically have been a bottom of the table team. So not too good. They're in there, though, which counts for something. Okay. In Europe, they were in the Europa League in the 2012-2013 season, and they actually won the Intertoto Cup in 2000. But it was kind of a weird one where there's like multiple winners, and the prize for winning was like a Europa League spot. Not a hater. I'm just saying, the name's cool. Intertoto. Last season, their top scorer and their assist leader was Lorenzo Luca. He's a 23-year-old center forward from Italy. He had 8 goals and 4 assists in Serie A last season. And the best young talent to watch for, we talked about him in the Euro breakdown, is Lazar the Laser Samardzic. He's a 22-year-old Serbian central midfielder, had 6 goals and 2 assists in Serie A last season. The midfielder, he went to the Euros this past summer, but didn't get a lot of playing time. We kind of hoped that he would, but I think after going and kind of getting that kind of exposure, if you're a team like Udinese that's going to be struggling to stay in the Serie A, you might want to play these type of players. So yeah, we'll hopefully see more of him this coming season. Some interesting facts about Udinese. I found this very specific funny fact. The club broadcasts on channel 110 on digital terrestrial television in the northeast of Italy, and it has many fans in the Friulia and surrounding areas. That is, in case you are listening overseas and you didn't know that, it's very for some reason I looked up interesting facts and that kept popping up everywhere. So I just wanted to do my part in sharing the love for Udinese. But their roots date back to 1896, when it was established as a multi-sport society in the city of Udine. In 1911, gymnasts led by Luigi Daldan founded a football section of that society. And here we are today. Okay, tell us some of those odds.
Yeah, the odds are a little underneath the midpoint there. They have the 13th best odds to win Serie A with a plus 40,000. So unless you're a huge fan, I don't think I'd be making that bet. But if you are, good luck. I mean, we'll see.
Put some money on that. Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing is that Lorenzo Luca, he was on loan for them last season. They brought him in permanently from Pisa. So, yeah, he should be able to do what he did again. And kind of looking at the word on the street, I guess I should say, they have him finishing 13th, like you said, in the odds. But that's kind of 2 spots higher than they finished last season. And they brought in Luca permanently, but he was already there. So I don't really see how they get better. They did lose a few pieces in Wallace and Martins, Messina. But yeah, I just don't see how they're going to better their record last season whenever they technically got worse by losing some more players. So anyway, hopefully the Laser Samardzic can turn it up and he kind of replaces some goals. But yeah, I don't see them getting better than how they did last season. Okay, our last team is Venezia FC. They go by the Winged Lions or the Lagunal ones, which Lagunari in Italian. They're founded in December 1907, 116 years ago, and their coach this season is Eusebio Di Francesco. He's Italian, been coaching them since earlier this summer. He was hired on earlier this summer, I guess I should say. And he hasn't had the best success at club level as a manager, but he's coached 9 different Italian clubs, including Venezia. So, he's experienced, we'll say that. And Venezia is the club that's in Venice, actually. So if you've ever been to Venice, now you know they have a club. You can go check out a game. That is in the Veneto region of Italy. And Vic's going to tell us more.
Yeah, so Venice has a population of 258,685. That's just the actual town of Venice. The surrounding area has a lot more, but Venice doesn't make a lot of sense. It has a square mileage of 160 square miles, which is a pretty big area for that. I think it includes the water too, so that probably makes sense. And they play in Stadio Pierluigi Penzo with a capacity of just 11,150. So what does that mean in American? Well, the closest U.S. city we have as far as population is Laredo, Texas. Again, unintentional. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to use some other states. But the closest U.S. city that we have as far as size is Aurora, Colorado. And if you've ever been there, it's a huge area. It doesn't make sense, but again, Venice doesn't really make sense as well. The closest pro stadium we have is we do have one kind of small like that. It is for the National Women's Soccer League that we have for Louisville FC, and it's Lynn Family Stadium. And the closest non-pro stadium we have, believe it or not, is Dell Diamond. It's in Round Rock, and it's a minor league baseball team that we have here in the Austin area in Round Rock.
Great park.
Yeah.
And last season, whoop. Let me get my notes here. Last season, they earned promotion to Serie A through winning the promotion playoff, beating Cremonese, I think that's how you pronounce that, 1-0 across 2 legs in the playoff final. Their best ever finish in Serie A was 3rd place in 41-42 season, and they haven't really been a great team recently. They haven't been to Europe from what I can tell, but last season, their top scorer was Joel Pohjanpalo as a center forward from Finland, 29 years old. He had 22 goals in the second league last season. Their assist leaders, they actually had 2 people that tied with 6 assists in Nicholas Pierini and Dennis Johnson. And their best young talent to watch for is actually one Gianluca Busio, who is a 22-year-old center midfielder from America. And he scored 7 goals and had 4 assists for them last season. And Busio really hasn't hit the heights that most people were hoping whenever he left Sporting KC, Kansas City, a couple years back. But he's been a crucial part of that Venezia promotion. And I have a note here to call out that he even assisted on the game-winning goal that kind of got them through on the promotion. So obviously he's a big part of their team, and I'm hoping now that they're in Serie A, we actually get to watch him a lot more. And an interesting fact about this team actually is the fact that they also, outside of Busio, they actually have another American, Tanner Tessman. So very funny, I guess it's kind of weird. Maybe they're trying to get more Americans to watch them. I don't know. But the fact that they're in Serie A and they have 2 Americans on the team, I'll be watching. And they're actually known for their stylish and aesthetically pleasing kits. They feature innovative designs, and their attention to detail is what they're all about. And I'm sure I'll share a link, but just know that their kits are actually really, really cool. And this season, I was trying to find the kits for this coming year, but they actually don't have them yet because they just signed a deal, or it's reported to have happened, but nothing's out yet, that they signed a deal with Nike's Nocta sub-brand, which is fronted by popular Canadian rapper Drake. So they haven't gone through yet, but they're apparently close. So we'll see. I mean, I think the season starts when, Vic? Like, next week sometime? Week, yeah. So anyway.
I don't know if it's a good time to be associated with Drake, but
well, yeah. They just need his money. It's fine. Okay. But yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how those kits come out. Okay. And I think they don't have good odds, but tell us, Vic.
Yeah, not very high odds. I'm pretty sure that one of the top 3s would be relegated next year, but don't have exact numbers for you right now.
Oh yeah.
If we do have numbers, we'll have it right here to be relegated. We'll just make Daniel work somewhere. I have some numbers right here.
He's shaking his head no. Yeah, as we're saying. That's my bad.
I don't think that's ever worked. Let me know in the comments, because I don't know if it's ever worked, if he's actually done that one.
Victor does this and then he just checks out. He doesn't actually watch it. He's drunk, actually. He drinks during this. So.
I do all kinds of shit on here. I don't know.
Yeah. So word on the street for Venezia is, again, they do have the fourth highest odds to be relegated, and the squad's not very deep. But I think that this team, fueled by American passion and I don't know, cool Drake kits, maybe we can will them to stay into Serie A next season. But yeah, it doesn't look too good as far as the odds makers go. But hopefully they have great kits, and hopefully with the American bald eagles that are on their team, we can see them staying in for another year. Okay, we've said it all for this Serie A season. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this as much as we have. I think there's a lot of teams in here that we knew a little bit about, but once we were starting to get the research going for this project, it's really cool. And actually, I'm very, very excited to watch a lot more Serie A this season, and we hope you guys are too. So let us know how you feel about it. And if you think that we got your team wrong, let us know that too. Not too harsh, though.
Yeah.
Take us home.
Yeah, I want to appreciate, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Let us comment and let us know what you guys think down below. Also, I think what's coming up in the future is some Bundesliga and also some Premier League. Those will be out fairly soon.
The Prem, mate.
The Prem, I know, right? No, they don't say Premier League over there. The Prem. So stay tuned for those. We can't wait to talk to you guys again. Again, thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Later.
Peace.